All right, welcome everybody to Small Caps Trading Podcast. Today is a reverse podcast where I interview and Molly talks. Today and the reason why we're doing that is because Molly has made such impressive progress in a number of areas that I wanted to start to dig into his process. I think there's some things that he can share, and the first topic, today's topic that I wanted him to share was how to scale up. Because over the last few months, or even the last year, however you want to look at it, Molly has scaled up many times over. And he's done it in such an impressive way that, and by impressive, I mean, you know, consistent, never backs down from a size up when it's time, doesn't change his process. It was really impressive. And so I wanted him to look into his process and share it with us. I don't know what he has to say. I'm here to listen. Without
Yeah,
further
all
ado.
right. I'm gonna try to do my best of this reverse roles. So
You
I
got it,
wanna,
bro.
I wanna, I wanna go back to when I think about sizing, how I just keep sizing up, sizing up. I think it came from, in the beginning, um, when I was really just trying to figure out what is short, what is not a short, and just play with it, and just risking $10, $20, $30, 40. Those give me so much freedom because whatever I lose, not gonna be a big loss. I can probably recover. It doesn't matter whatever I'm playing with. That gave so much conviction that to discover because I was never attached to PNL. And once I did, you know, let's say I made 10 trades risking $30 and I made I was profitable out of seven of them, eight of them, whatever. Um, in my mind, okay, cool. If this is working, if I prove that it's working, sizing shouldn't matter. I can just keep doing the same thing over and over with bigger numbers. And
Okay.
that's really how it started. I was like, all right, cool. In January, I think I was risking like $80, $100.
Per trade.
And that was big number for me because my
Hmm.
daily stop wasn't. It was I think like a K, so I was getting uncomfortable risking 100. And February, when that all holla happened, me and you were talking. I know like you're going next day big, and I'm like next day gonna be big. And I'm still trading the same thing, that $40 risk. I'm just bigger. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna go to 250, 300 because I see people. That's really if you don't increase it, it's the same, exactly same thing. So I'm keep comforting myself. It doesn't matter. It's the same thing. I'm just going higher. It's the same trade. Like if you look at my trader view, executions from 3 months ago, 4 months ago, they look exactly same from the trades that I took. The same similar pattern, same similar. There are probably differentiates, but in
Sorry,
February,
which trades look the same? Oh, February from January look the same.
yeah, they
Okay.
literally look same. It's just different sizes. Like
Hmm.
the spots that I was taking look same. It's not like that I
Hmm.
was trading big parabolics. Now I'm like the pyramiding it backside or anything. That I'm just same style same. What I think short is same. And um, so February around 250. March came. March was probably one of the most consistent months and most uncomfortable months that I wanted to put myself because I started doing 400, 400, 500. And
Per trade risk. Yeah.
yeah, that was very uncomfortable. But um, I didn't really have any hesitation because, to be honest, March, I will look at people on Twitter. Oh, these seven figure, big numbers, and they will post their executions. And I'm like, I'm shooting at the same spot. Like that guy showed his execution. I showed it at the same spot.
Same execution.
Yeah. And only difference is, his size is huge. His size is way bigger than me. So I don't think you become a seven figure trader just overnight. It You will just have to size up eventually, I think. And that was a like click for me. I'm like, that guy's trading the same thing. He's probably shorting 100,000 shares, but I'm shorting like 3,000, 4,000 shares. And that was a bit motivation just internally during that process. And I started telling myself like psychological, okay, you know what? Maybe I'm a seven-figure trader now. Maybe it just hasn't happened yet. Maybe I am. I'm just not that big size yet. So that kind of pushed me in March, and March became my best month. I think I made around 11R on that month, as far as PNL too. And April, sorry, April, you and I were talking so broad. I wanted to expand my playbook. Um, April was a bit setback as far as sizing because I wanted to size up differently on every trade, on every playbook, and then I realized, you know what? I only really know how to trade two setup. So April, I was doing around 750 on my A plus trades, 750, and
Risking
May
750. Okay.
750. May May I jumped to 1,000, and I think
Whoa,
third.
whoa, 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 whoa. April 750, May you started risking 2000?
No, 1,000, 1,000.
Oh, 1000. Okay, my bad. I misheard. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
because I mean the confidence came in there because at that point I can see what type of trader I am. You know what type of win rate, what type of risk reward I have. I could size up better because I'm not really making something new. January and February was the hardest month for me, even though my size were the smallest because I was betting on something that I was betting on something that uncomfortable for me, but I wasn't sure if it's profitable or not. Like when I was trading that week of Holo, I just know, okay, I think I am profitable, and I was risking 200, which is like 20. That was like 25% of my stop at that point, 20% of my stop. So that was still so uncomfortable, and I didn't know if it's profitable. In May, when I size up, I know it's profitable. It's been 5 months, same thing over and over. So once I passed that, risking 500, 600, the rest was the rest was a bit easier. Still uncomfortable though, because I still know every time I size up, something can worse happen. I can take multiple losses in a row, which it happened in Lucy in May. All of a sudden, my months were like $2,000, and that was a good month for me. $3,000 good month for me. May I lost 3K in one day from Lucy.
Yeah.
We talked that day, and that was the biggest loss ever. When I size up so aggressively, that is the worst case scenario. And I want to point out, if somebody's out there who's sizing up, that can happen. And only thing that didn't really stop me keep sizing up because was it's it's gonna happen, man. We're gonna take loss, and I think you were very helpful at that point. I don't think that was really me. Every time you say you take a loss, that's whatever. You just take a loss. I didn't really read into it too much. Next day I came back, I risked same 1,200, and that was my biggest trade I think on Zcar because it gave me a re-entry. I ended up making 1,700 on that trade. And that was a very breakthrough for me. That made me realize, okay, you know what? I am big size. It's just gonna happen. It happens. I'm gonna lose
Mm-hmm.
big. I'm gonna make big. So at that point, I
Bigger.
really
Yeah.
bigger. Yeah. Um, I didn't. That was like an opening mind from. Okay, you know what? Loss is gonna happen. It's fine. I am still gonna size up. Like, what is the worst case scenario here? Like, I have daily stop. Like, I am relying on my win rate a lot. That whatever I touch, I hope it's gonna win more than I lose. And if I have stats to back it up, then I think it's your job as a trader to size up. Like if you're not sizing up, even if you have a data, then you might be in the wrong business if you're not scaling. Like unless you wanna, just make $100 a day and then call the day. I thought it's my job. And being in a firm, I trade in the firm. Um, it's not really your money anyway. Your job is to size up because we have commissions, we have splits, right? I'm not
Yep.
taking everything what I make anyway. I have to make so much to get paid. And if firm is providing the risk for you, and if you have a data, you have to size up, man. Like you
Okay.
really have to size up.
So in May you were at 1,000 or 1,200 or something.
I started at 1,000 and then I went to 1,200 on
Okay.
the next
Now
at
it's
the end of
August. Now it's August, and you're at about double that or so.
yeah, around yeah 2,300, 2,200. Yeah.
Risk per trade.
Yeah.
Okay. So now let me digest that and add a little bit of what I know.
Yeah.
So as you mentioned, to those that don't know, Molly trades at S&B Capital, a prop firm, and they have a daily risk that you're allowed to have, and they will reduce or increase your risk based on your performance.
Yeah.
And I think that you might have started. You started in July of
Five
last year, so
500 daily stop. Yeah.
yeah, you started with $500 daily stop. I think your stop is about more than
Six.
tenfold that,
Yeah.
6,000
6.5. Yeah.
now,
Yeah.
6,500 now. They're
Yeah.
constantly bumping it up based on your performance.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so you started in July with a $500 daily risk allocation,
Yeah.
max loss daily. And what you did was you're like, okay, I'm not going to risk $500 per trade. That's stupid.
Yeah.
And one thing that you said about January, so July you start over there, January and February of this year, which will be about 6 months after that, you said was your hardest month because that's when you, if I heard correctly, you were not still sure about your process.
Yeah. I didn't
And
know what I was like. I was in it something that thinking that this is gonna work. Right now, I think it works. I'm just sizing up. It was
right,
hard. Yeah.
right. So essentially, when it comes to scaling, there's the way that I look at it, there's two challenges. Psychological. Actually, I should reverse this to start with what you mentioned. Confidence in your executions, or confidence in your setup, really is what I should say.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's half of the battle in scaling up is, are you confident in how well do you know your setups, and how much do you know that you know your setups? That's half the battle. And the second half is psychological. Even if you know your setups, you every time that you size up, you're now seeing bigger swings on your P&L if you're looking at your P&L.
Yeah.
And that makes you that just the size up causes us to be, it's harder for us to think clearer, detach from the emotion and all that stuff. So those are the two challenges. And so for your first 6 month in S&B, you're sort of searching for the process. For whatever reason, in January, February, you start to really zone in on a setup, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna start to, like, I think I have something here, but I'm not sure yet, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then around March, which is like 9 months in, or I don't know what it is, 8 months into your time in the firm. Now you're like, okay, I think I have something, and now it's about scaling up. So this is the part that I am interested in looking at,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
So you're risking really small back then, right? Like January, February, you said I think it was $50,
150. 100.
150, okay,
That was my max. Yeah.
150 $150 per trade,
Yeah.
and you're searching for your setups. I mean, you're starting to refine
Yeah.
setups that you think that you have now.
Uh-huh.
So you mentioned that you're relying on your win rate. I want to sort of take a moment and talk about that, because I want to let everybody know that I do not respect high win rates. I don't
Yeah.
respect them.
Yeah. I know.
And that's not a knock against you, because me and you both have very high win rates.
Yeah.
But high win rates are not created equal. Most of them are trash. And I'm not going to get into the reasons why. But you built your high win rate in the best way possible, which is this is the only kind of high win rate that I respect, which is, you sort of mentioned that, you saw at some point, you saw that your executions are the same as the top traders. I'm going to back that up, and I'm going to deconstruct that and say that I just know you, and I know how patient you are in waiting for your entries. You will miss 10 trades to
Yeah.
find one trade, and
Yeah.
you'll find the 1 or 2 trades a day. They're like, this is the spot, this is the name, this is everything. It checks every box. This is my trade. This is my spot.
Yeah.
That is the only kind of high win rate I respect, because every other kind of high win rate is I'm just not going to book a loss until it turns into a win. That's really what most high win rates are.
Oh yeah, I know. I usually have hard stops. My systematic mostly.
Right.
Yeah.
So I remember you came to visit me in Atlanta
Yeah.
in March.
Yeah.
And in March, I believe you were risking $250 a trade.
Yeah.
And
I
me and you're
started March with 250. Yeah.
right. And me and you're sitting having dinner somewhere, and you're talking to me about your risk sizes, and I asked you what your and you told me that. So anyway, I asked you how confident are you in your stock selection? Because for in my opinion, for shorts, particularly for shorts, but I don't know, maybe not. There's really two questions to be asked. Which one is a fader today, and where is the spot to get involved? And I asked you, I said, basically, I asked you, how confident are you in your process? Is
Mm-hmm.
really, what it boils down to.
Mm-hmm.
And you told me that you trust it. And so I told you, size the fuck up.
Yeah.
Because this is what we're here to do. And between March, it's risking $250 a trade, and the beginning of August, risking 10 times that per trade.
Yeah.
From a psychological perspective, I find that impressive. I find that impressive because I think that the typical process of sizing up for a lot of people tends to be that I trade well, trade well, trade well on this particular size, then they size up, and then they don't trade well, and then they lose money, and then they lose confidence, and they go back to the old size, and then they sort of get stuck in some sort of a loop there, where they have a hard time sizing up. You didn't you I think that a lot of the times that you sized up, because you size up constantly every month, every time that they give you a risk bump, you size
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
and and I think that one of the challenges, that, like, when you size up, you're going to have bigger losses, and
Yeah.
you have consistently had your best days ever, month after month after month, and your biggest losses ever,
Yeah.
month after month after month. But at the end of each month, your P&L was the best, month after
Yeah.
month.
Yeah.
And so there is, in that, there is the reality that when you size up, you take bigger losses. And I just know from talking to so many traders that usually that pushes people back, and they're having a hard time, staying in the larger size, let alone even going to a larger size. For you, that never happened. Do you have any idea why? Why were you able to size up and size up and size up and size up successfully, with having best months and best month and best month?
I guess the idea of like these like traders, like we want to be disciplined, we want to do the right thing, and as a human instinct you think the right thing is like being precautious and like, oh, I had a big loss, I should back up a little bit and assess the situation, maybe I should size down. That was my idea, and I came from, I was an athlete, always that discipline, that that consistency that's so important for us. And if something goes wrong, the first thing I think is like, oh, back up. You told me that's the opposite. In a market, since everybody is doing that, you don't do that. And I think I religiously believed what you say. And because we were, like we were talking every day, this guy says this, and he's right most of the time. And I know I do give you credit here, and the credit I think I will take for myself is actually doing it, because it is so hard just to believe it. And it was so hard the day after Lucy just coming. That was like so early in the morning, just put all my size again after having the first loss. You just have to do it. I don't know. It's not gonna happen, because if everybody lost yesterday, today gonna be easy, man. If today is good, then the next day. The worst case, I will stop out and stop out. Okay, sure, it will be bad, but I can't.
Okay.
I just have to, size. It's our job. Come next day.
Okay.
That's
So, um, to add a little bit of that from my perspective, because I
yeah,
do, of course, I was a party to that. I remember
yeah,
it. And so you take losses. I
yeah,
mean, we like you said, we talk every day.
yeah,
And, especially back then, we would talk all day, every day. And I
yeah,
know what's going on with you.
yeah,
And and how many times have you taken a loss and you told me, man, I don't know. Like, how many times have you told me, I don't know? Like, you would take a loss
yeah,
and you would tell me, I don't know if I'm good at this. Maybe I was just lucky up
yeah,
until now.
yeah,
Like, that's something that you told me multiple times.
yeah. The
And
confidence
every time,
shakes.
right. And every time I would tell you, no, losses come. There are good losses and bad losses. Um, and a bad loss is a reckless trade, a bad trade. A bad trade is a bad loss. A good trade that didn't work out is a good loss,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah,
And so I told you two things I remember at the time. I told you that as you size up, you're going to get bigger losses. Do not back down as
yeah,
they come. Keep going,
yeah,
because that's the first trap. And as people sort of listen to this and they're looking for how do I size up? So
yeah,
here's sort of the takeaway parts from my perspective. Number one, you only size up when your process is refined so that you trust it and it
yeah,
deserves size up.
yeah,
Number two, when you size up, expect losses, larger losses. And when those larger losses come, and they will come, it's a fact, don't back down. Don't size down or anything like that. As long as you're sizing up responsibly, like, and 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 finally, the last piece, which was the piece that we sort of started with, was look, because you lost doesn't mean that it was a good or bad trade. Just like if you won, doesn't mean it was a good or bad trade. We judge that based on, what is our process and does this fit our process, right?
yeah,
And if you look at this and you're like, if I saw this trade 10 times, I would take that trade 10 times again, and that was a good loss. And if you look at that loss and you say, if that comes again, I wouldn't do it the same, that was a bad loss.
that
That's a
was,
lesson, right? And
yeah,
so these are the things that I saw in you. I saw that you refined your process. You sized up. I've never seen you size down after you sized up.
yeah,
And as far as the confidence, yeah, you had some support, um, but that imposter syndrome, which is sort of what it's called,
yeah,
right? Like, oh, everything was luck until now. I guess I'm not
yeah,
that
yeah,
everybody has it. So everybody has bigger losses when they size up, and everybody has imposter syndrome as those losses come.
mm,
And so both of those things are psychological, and you have to expect them, be ready for them. The third piece of the puzzle, which is actually the first, is the process. Make sure that your process is refined,
yeah,
right?
yeah. I mean, without process, no size up. That's why it
Right.
took it so long. Size up, like even December, like I mean, I start like late November when we like really, really start talking a lot. December talk a lot. Still same risk, $10, $20. January, I think I got something $30, $40. That 3 month process, no size up. The next 3 months, I was up like 10x of that stuff because of the. If you see something, then just I was okay pushing it to the limits because I guess once I take a big loss, I do feel lucky. Oh, I was getting lucky. But when I see my P&L at the end of the
When you
month,
take a big loss, you mean that you have imposter syndrome. All your
exactly,
success was not
yeah,
deserved.
all my success, or maybe I was getting lucky. The reason when I said I rely on my win rate is not that high win rate. I just rely that this is gonna work at the end of the month. When I look at it, overall picture will be clean. Just this doesn't matter, you know?
Okay. Now, talk to me about your emotions because you went, I mean, to just put it bluntly, within less than a year or within a year, you went from risking $10 per trade to $2,500 per trade. And even in a shorter period of time, from January to August, you went from risking whatever it was, $50 per trade to $2,500 per trade. That is a huge difference in P&L swings. What were you? What do you? Can you recall any emotions, or what was it like emotionally to go from 50 to 100, 100 to 250, 250, 500, 500 to 1,000, 1,000 to 2,000, 2,000 to all within really 7 months? What was
Yeah,
there anything?
I think as far as emotions, um, a lot of focus, like big time focus and fear. A lot of fear. Like I have a lot of anxiety. I always accept that a lot of anxiety. I tend to worry a lot, and the guys on my pod knows that. Like whenever we talk something, like that is just there. I think one thing that helped me. I mean, I just embraced it. It's fine. I'm a trader. That's gonna happen. So I kind of treated that as different than my sizing. I still sized up so much. I was still nervous that those two can be together. Just because I'm nervous, I'm not gonna just not size up. Okay, cool. That is the job. I am nervous. I just accept that is gonna happen, but I'm still gonna size up. So those two, I just separated them. They are two different things. They happen at the same time, but one doesn't affect the other. I am still hitting the button big because you tell me, look, nobody's no. I'm nervous too sometimes when you say that.
I say nobody knows. You
Nobody
need to
knows.
say nobody knows what the
Nobody knows
stock
what's
will
gonna happen.
do, what's going to happen, and I'm
Yeah,
scared all the time too. Yes.
yeah. So I think I just accepted that I am scared. Like there, once I accept, the emotion can't really affect me because I know that is just what it is. And
Okay.
one emotion that gets me though, I mean, since I started doing this, I've been still doing well. I don't know if it's a good thing or bad thing. Once I am up enough on the day, I tend to slow down. I maybe you should push more. That emotion takes me, okay, feel the market short swing. That I tend to do the reverse emotion. Like if I'm losing, not day by day, week by week, because you do the opposite of it. So that emotion, like if I'm down on the day and if I see something, I am so okay to put risk again. If I'm up on the day and if I see something, I don't really want it. I think that's not good. And that is one thing I accept that I have to work on. Like we were talking in my pod that they also realize it too, that I have that tendency that I'm still working on. But anything else, I accept it and just don't let it affect me much.
Okay. Okay. That's interesting. Um, so, is there any advice? Because one thing that I find remarkable, and look, some people are going to listen to this, and let's be frank. Some people are going to listen to this and say, "Oh, 25 risking $2,500 per trade, on a $6,500 daily loss." You know, some people, okay, so you're risking, on a daily basis, all things being equal, you're risking,
A third of it ish.
per
That's
trade,
that, that's what I try to do. I'm trying to size up that if I lose 3 times in a row, I will stop out because that never happened. So I'm
right?
just betting
But
on that.
but you'll have more than one trade a day sometimes.
Yes, correct.
Sometimes several trades.
Sometimes, especially the day after Black Swans and then five,
Right,
six trades. So
right. So really, if we're being a little bit more accurate, you went from risking from January to August, you went from risking $50 per trade, but really about $150 a day on across, let's say, 3 trades,
Yes,
right?
correct. Yes.
To risking, you know, $5,000 a day, or
Yeah.
potentially, or whatever it
Yeah.
might be. But your executions never changed,
Yes.
or did they?
Executions are same. Yes.
That is remarkable. And some people listen to that and they're like, to some people, $5,000 a day, is absolutely nothing. To some people, $5,000 a day is a lot. It doesn't matter. The fact that you can size up and size up and size up, but keep your execution the same, is the holy grail. Is and because like we could have this conversation again in a year, and then what? We probably won't, because I'm not the type to brag when it gets to those sizes. You know what I
Yeah. I
mean?
might
Like, so
be
this
just
is
shut off. This might be the last
yeah.
one.
This is the time to have this conversation
Yeah.
and give respect where and credit where it's due. That regardless of the sizes, you size up and you size up and you size up, and your execution doesn't change. Can you share how you've accomplished that? Because that is the holy grail of sizing up, is not changing your executions.
I mean, obviously, first thing is there is enough liquidity, all of course, and the second is
Not liquidity, your emotions, man.
oh, your emotions.
Because
I'm just betting it. I mean, the honest answer, I was a long biased before I met with you. I'm trading against my old version of myself. I know old me will buy that around somewhere there, not my execution, but I know the opposite side, what's all longs feeling. I know I feel that FOMO, that emotion relieves me thinking, okay, this is the backside because I know what longs will do here. That just relaxes me so much because I know good shorts know what that is. I know bad longs know what that is. So that is my spot. Emotionally, I'm so sure that it's gonna work.
okay, okay, interesting. Now we never really prep anything for any podcast.
Yeah,
We just say what the topic will be and we meet up.
yeah, we meet up.
And so, um, is there anything? Is there any thoughts, advice, or questions, or anything at all regarding the area of sizing and scaling up in your mind?
My sizing and scaling was easier because I trade systematically. I have hard stops, and I can have a data to rely on. For some people, if they are, yeah, go ahead.
So you're not trading systematically. You
I
have
do.
a system. Systematically means really like via algorithms executing.
Oh no,
You
no,
have a
no, okay.
process. You
Yeah,
have
I
a
have a
process.
process. Yeah.
You're just very, very disciplined to your process. So again,
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Fair. I guess that when we were talking about execution, when you said I'm trading systematically, you are trading dynamically. That's what I was referring to. That
right.
I am not that dynamic. I'm not like very getting in and out, or I don't really change the way I execute. I think that's why it was easier to rely on the sizing because trades look same over a part. So there is not one trade that I think, oh, this is so big, I'm sizing up on this, and there's the other one is so small, which I do want to get into that level. I do think there are some trades I really need to put to the swing the bat. That was easier for someone if you are trading like the way I did, just similar execution, so it's easier. But if you're a type of guy who like trading like just judge every situation and decide how big you wanna be, I think that is way harder because then you're relying on the moment by moment knowledge a lot rather than just process system trigger, you know.
Right.
So I guess that I will just point that out. I think
Okay.
your style is better. I mean, because how I mean I know the way you trade. That's why I'm saying that. Like sometimes, um, I think my style that systematic way is just easier to scale.
So to paraphrase,
Yeah.
you mastered a single setup.
Yeah. True. That's true too. Yeah. Just one single song.
You just looked for a single setup, and you got better and
Yeah.
better and better and better at that setup.
Yeah.
And you looked just for exactly that setup. And sometimes you thought that you found the setup, and you lost on it, and you were like, why did I lose on it? And you go back to the lab and you refine it and refine it, and you talk to me, and you figure, and you think about it, and you have that one setup that you've really been working on for most of this time.
Yeah.
And because you got so good at that setup, it just got, I think that perhaps you just got more and more comfortable just sizing up and sizing up, sizing up, because this
Yeah.
whole time you were trading one setup. And I
Yeah.
think that something interesting has been happening over the last month or so, perhaps month or two, I don't know, is that you started trading other setups well.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
that fair?
Yeah. Smaller sizes. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because the whole reason why those of us that trade stocks, particularly small caps, but really all of us, the reason why we trade stocks is because we see two things in there: scalability and repeatability,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
You can get really big, so you can make a lot of money,
Yeah.
and you could do the same thing over and over again. You find whatever it is, could be episodic pivots, doesn't matter what it is. You could find your thing and rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat, and scale up and scale up and scale up and scale up, and that is exactly what you did. You and for whatever it's worth, that is, I think, one of the best advices that I would take if I was trying to figure it out, is choose one darn setup. It's all you need. You don't need more than one. Even if you're trying to make $10 million a year, whatever it is, you don't need more than one
Yeah.
setup. You be damn good at it. And you size up and you size up, and you're like, I mean, why do people know how to trade multiple situations or setups? Because they want to trade more and more and
Yeah.
more. But you could just size up. And every time that single setup comes up, instead of trying to trade all setups,
Yeah. Yeah.
but by virtue of having screen time, because we're going to get good with screen time, but if you don't survive in the markets, then you don't get the screen time.
Yeah.
So I think that by virtue of you just absolutely laser focused on a single setup, you're able to scale up, scale up, scale up, start to actually make money from this,
Yeah.
and stay in the game. And while you're there, all of a sudden, a lot of stuff that you saw that it just runs through your eyes, all of a sudden you start to see something there in different setups.
Yes.
And now you can start to, as you said, risk small other setups
Yeah.
and slowly refine that, and eventually get to start to scale up in those as well. And once you could do that, the sky really is the limit. And so I think the biggest takeaway is that you absolutely obsessed over a single setup.
Yeah. That's fair. That's what I really did for the last 7 months. Just trade one setup.
Yeah, fuck yeah, dude. This is not a competition to be
Yeah.
the smartest or to know all the most things. It's about making money.
Yeah. It's about making money. You're right. That's why if I can size up, why not? But I do think I do wanna, establish more now. I'm working on one more setup, two more. If I can find a spot, we working together, with a couple other guys too. Maybe one more setup, two more.
Okay.
Good,
All right.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty good. I think that I've heard a good amount. Any other thoughts from you? Or?
No, I think we're good to go. Any questions from you guys? You can just comment, I pay attention to it. So, or
Okay.
we are in the Discord
Couple.
chat.
Right. Couple last things. First of all, thank you for sharing your journey, Molly.
Yeah.
Second of all, I should have said this in the beginning, but I'll say it
Yeah.
in the end. we didn't produce content the last couple of weeks. We were just busy. Hopefully we'll have
Yeah, I've been flying. I'm in the office right now. Oh, this is what SMB looks
yeah,
like.
there we go, my man. All right, so we'll try and get back to our regular schedule from here on out. Thank you, Molly, and we'll see y'all on the next
All
one.
right, and guys, as always, anything we discuss in this video is not a financial advice.
Damn it! I forgot
You
to
good?
say that.
I just remembered.
Ah,
Be good.
I'm such a bad host.
Nah,
You're
you
gonna
good.
put the disclaimer anyway in the
Yeah,
video.
I'm gonna put it anyway.
It's
Yeah.
fine. It's
All
fine.
right.
All right.
Cool.
Thank
Cool.
you.